Hey everyone, this is Behind the Screen, tentative title. I'm just going to kind of talk about the session that we just played this week on Threshold and kind of how I went about putting it all together and what I prepped to sort of give dungeon masters and stuff a little bit of a window into what I'm doing, so maybe they can take some of it if they saw something they liked, maybe see what it means for their own games. So we saw in this session, we saw the players take out sort of a bliss factory following the lead from Sylvia Silversheen, who turns out to be a hag. I set that up last session by having, when they grab her hand, have it be sort of warty and leathery. Really, I picked a hag because there's obviously some bad dudes going around in Easterton, and honestly, I just needed a challenge rating monster that wasn't a thug. There's so many thugs for them to fight, and without the Dungeon Master's Guide out yet, it's hard to make your own monsters. I've been using a guide, Surf Archer has a really great guide. He's sort of breaking down all the monsters statistic-wise as to how to maybe make them. And next session, you'll see a couple of those come out that I used with his thoughts and ideas. But yeah, I just really needed a challenge rating 3 baddie for them to fight the Green Hag, who actually ended up being way less scary than I had thought, because they were able to just sort of casually push her into the vat of bliss, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So that was kind of the basis for this adventure, was like, let's have them fight a hag. So what do hags like? Well, Green Hags particularly like to bring tragedy and bring downfall. They're very Macbeth in their motivations. So I thought, let's get a hag in here. She can maybe think that she's actually the ones pulling the strings, but of course we know from Rasper's backstory that Gray and Easter are actually the ones pulling the strings, and particularly Easter has sort of manipulated all this bliss stuff. It's only recently that the hag has moved in that she's found a way to industrialize the industry. So that was my motivation for putting the hag in there. From there, it just kind of went pretty easy. It was, let's take the bliss factory that we saw in Deepwood Hovel a couple sessions back, and in Ignorance is Bliss, and let's build that up. Like, what is the natural progression? So it was, of course, well, how do you most efficiently move people? And I really wanted it to kind of have a sort of a Holocaust-y feel, in the sense where, like, this is the systematic turning people into drugs, turning their happiness into an energy. So that was kind of when designing. I have my whole map here, and so it's really just all the components of the bliss factors we've seen before, but scaled up. And so from there, I sort of built the factory. So then the natural step is, I was thinking, like, how do I get them to the factory? And this was a great way to use Rasper's contact. Rasper has been interesting because we definitely want him to feel like he has a presence in history in Easterton, which the perfect thing for that is Rasper actually, as his background, has a thief's contact background. So that's actually Katrina is his thief's contact. So I spoke with Josh, who plays Rasper, and was able to work out with him, like, what does contact look like? And I said before the session, like, hey, she might be a good source of information if you're going to be looking for exactly where where Sylvia is. So that was really easy, which sort of let us get a bunch of exposition out of the way about the Black Arrow Syndicate, which is stuff that, like, we know, Rasper and I know, but some of the players might not know, and certainly the viewer doesn't know. So kind of a way to maneuver those pieces, which worked out really well. I wasn't intending there to be that much exposition there. A little bit slow of a start today. I'm sure you noticed there was some town stuff because we didn't quite get on that hook as fast as I wanted. And a little bit of confusion with the waking up at 4 in the morning. I don't know if you can tell, but that was kind of something that threw me for a loop. And so I kind of had to adjust the timeline a little bit. They were supposed to get there in the evening and then be able to spend the night there, and I thought maybe some shenanigans would ensue. But we've reversed it. We get there at 4 in the morning, and then they can pass through the day that way. And the bread bowls, it was a perfect just kind of scene just to kind of reestablish that fact and keep in mind the mother dough and all that. Keep that fresh on people's minds, because that's about to become a big deal, I know. So From there, we were able to get that lovely backstory. Rasper totally threw me for a loop today with his special item. I had no idea what that was. We had not discussed that previously, but we just kind of ran with it and gave him a ceremonial weapon. I figured he's getting his thing cold ironed, but it might be kind of fun to sort of why does Rasper use a shovel? Let's give him an item that's almost a shovel. And so that way it kind of explains why he uses a shovel, and now he has his weapon back. So we'll see what he does with it, whether he uses it or not, or whether he keeps flipping tables at people. So the Bliss as a wine factory, it was just kind of a fun thought that I had. Like, what if this like drug, which is a liquid, what if they had different vintages? Like, does a really rich child who like has lived a life of happiness, do they produce a different like sort of flavor or quality of bliss as a baker on the street? So that was kind of fun to play with. So like there's different vintages, and of course we got the mistake of like, oh, here's a sherry, a sherryman who we've turned into this bliss, and I think that means that now Jamie is the only character to have tried bliss, which is kind of exciting. I'm still waiting for someone to use it. Vel, I think, still has a couple of bottles on him, if I remember correctly. One of the things they skipped, which I might end up reusing, is a puzzle door. The back door to Sylvia's office has these symbols on them. And what they are, this is kind of maybe a little too complex, but I was going to let them guess and hint their way through it. These are a combination of, this is a math problem. It's a reduced factor equation, where you have to put two different metals in each of these two things. So the answer is to put some gold and silver in this one and some copper and iron in the other one, if I remember correctly. And so these symbols are a combination of the alchemical symbol for each of those metals. So this is a silver-gold combination for electrum. This is a gold-copper combination for a rose-gold. And so it was hopefully going to be kind of a chance to let Clarion and Vel especially Clarion, figure something out and use knowledge and lore to kind of break that apart. But going through the front door and just fighting your way in is another way to do it. I should have thought about that, but I thought maybe they'd be a little more cautious for once. For once, my party wasn't cautious. So yeah, by that point, we were starting to get pretty late into the session because the first half ran a little bit longer. So I actually had the fire burn up Sylvia, because I don't plan on doing anything else with her in the future, and they still feel like they've satisfyingly beat someone. It wasn't of a challenge rating that I was concerned that anyone was going to die. She was a challenge rating 3, and the rest of them are level 4 characters at this point. And so really it was just kind of like, this is a great cinematic way to have her go out. So I made the call and just had her go up in flames, and we got that really great image at the end, and everyone felt really good about what happened there at the end. I don't feel like anyone felt cheated out of that battle, especially because I got to use the claws of the hag and her illusory appearance, which are pretty much the only things that a green hag can do. I was actually a little disappointed. She's kind of more of a subtle character to play over a long period of time, and I just don't have room right now in my master plot for another plotter, because we got already, if these guys, I don't know if picked up on it as much, but Damien Easter, there's a lot of illusion magic around the throne. So he might not be exactly what he claims to be either. And so I just don't have room to juggle any more of those identities between what Jamie's got going on and what Easter's got going on. So now looking to next session, they were supposed to agree with Sunostromo, Peter Sunostromo, at the gate and go up to Arrington to like check all that off, all the shovels and stuff. So I might just skip that as if it happened in between these sessions. because I don't want to spend too much more time in Easterton because it's starting to get a little familiar. So I think we might just start in Merrington next time and have jumped maybe a week or so and given them all some time to do some stuff. So I'm very excited. We're coming up to a totally different place. We're going to the north, which is German influence. So you'll see a lot of that next time. There's going to be dwarves. There's going to be a lot of cold stuff, and there's a lot of Jamie. Luckily, I've been telling him to work this in for weeks. Is that he's been dreaming of tunnels at night, and we finally got it in this session. Brian, who plays Jamie, has no idea why he's dreaming of tunnels, but he's about to find out next week. So I'm really excited. We're pushing to the end here. I actually have the story now mapped out because I was trying to push a lot of this stuff to late game, but I found that it's our most compelling story, figuring out all this stuff with the elves, and so I really didn't want to just keep delaying what all the players are most interested in. So I'm going to hit that hard, have them, change the world and see what happens. So what kind of problems result from them solving their problems. So I'm very excited for next week for the North, for the dwarves, and for all that. And there's a lot of really great surprises that are coming up next week, as well as some monsters that I built myself. Back to building monsters again. Now that I've kind of exhausted the monster manual. So thanks for watching, subscribing, all that. I won't say that here. So I'm really psyched for next time. Thanks for watching. This has been Behind the Screen with Steven. Thank you.